Okay. Om. Om. Gururbrahma Gururvishnu Gururdevo Maheshwarah Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah नमामि गौडपादञ्च शङ्करं श्रीसुरेश्वरं स्वामिनं सच्चिदानन्दमिन्द्रं तं ज्ञानरूपिणे ओम ओम ओके इदमध्यासलक्षणं सर्वतन्त्र अविरुद्धं we had to discuss, and today is the Sugama day. Okay, so 10th point, the Lakshanam of Adhyasa, which Shankaracharya has accepted, is unanimously acceptable, unanimously agreed by all. This is what Shankaracharya wants to say. Acharya Bhagavatpada was referring to various definitions of others. At least 3 he referred. So after referring them, he just simply referred. There was no refutation. He referred to them not to refute them. See, some of the commentators tried to say that Shankara wants it to refute them and accept his own definition. See, Shankara wants to refute others' definition of Adhyasa and present his own definition. Here Shankara is neither refuting nor asserting his own definition, nor trying to propound his own concept of definition. He only simply says that a thing appears different from what it is. This simple common sense understanding of Adhyasa, which is universally acceptable, this Adhyasa is acceptable to all, is already agreed by all in their own definitions, in the various definitions of various schools. They include this basic simple definition. This simple understanding of Adhyasa is included in all their definitions. They may go ahead by explaining how that Adhyasa forms, how that Adhisthana is related, how that event of Adhyasa takes place. Like this, they may go to explain few more other details. So we are not concerned with other details. What Shankaracharya says is, I am not concerned, I am not quoting them for sake of those other details about Adhyasa. I just want to say that a simple common sense understanding of Adhyasa, that one thing appears as something different from what it is, this much is acceptable to all, agreed to all. This is just what I want. Other details I am not interested. This is what Shankaracharya means. The same thing Swamiji presents, you see. Yadyapi vadinaha samaropita pratibhase nimittam anyatha vyachakshate. Samaropita, the imposed entity, the imposed thing, how the imposed thing appears, how the imposed object comes to appear. Regarding this, they have got different explanations, various explanations. How does that imposed thing come to appear? So, Yadyapi Vadinaha, although the various philosophers try to explain, Yadyapi cha Adhisthana Aropya Swarupa Visheshe te Vipravadante. Adhisthana Aropya. In their relationship between them, how much relation means in their combination. In their combination, also they keep on arguing, disputing, having different views. Yeah, Yadyapi Vipravadante Tathapi, yet Anyasya Adhyaropaspadasya Anyadharma Avabhasatam Arthantarattvena Pratibhasatam. One thing appearing different from what it is, in this much, in this definition, Anyasya adhyaropitasya anyadharma avabhasatam. The Shankaracharya statement, literally Swamiji is explaining Anyasya, one thing, Anyadharma avabhasatam, appearing as if it is something different from it, as if, not that there is a really another one, as if it is different. It is not really. Anyadharma avabhasatam arthantaраtvena pratibhasatam, appearing as different from what it is, this much. Atasmin tat pratyaya rupatam kvachidapi vade navyavicharati. In all their explanations, nobody is disputing this simple definition of adhyasa. Okay. Navyavicharati means my definition, the Shankaracharya says, my definition of simple bare adhyasa, nobody has denied in all their definitions. In all their explanations, nobody is contradicting this much. Other extra details, let them cover. But this, my explanation, nobody is contradicting. In fact, everybody has included in their definitions, in their explanations, what I have stated is included in all their definitions. Therefore, my definition is agreeable to all, indisputable. Therefore, navyabhicharati, it doesn't differ, it doesn't, it is not contradicted by others. Adhyasa vadhinam, this much was a Bhashyakara statement. The bare word meaning of the Bhashyakara statement is explained. On this, Swamiji adds a few more words, few comments on this thing. Now let us see. Vadinam vividha mata vivarane. In explaining the various views, Vadinam vividha mata vivarane tad vada vivaranaveva nadarah krataha. See, this is not point. Because the Vyakhyanakaras go to explain the different schools, and they try to give their own explanation. Just now we told regarding that adhyastha padartha, and how adhyasa adhisthana combination takes place, adhisthana adhyastha combination takes place. Regarding this, different schools have different views. So what Vyakhyanakaras, Vivarana, Panchapadika, Bhamati, they all did is, they explained in detail other schools. How they have explained the formation of adhyasa, they have explained it. Having explained them, they have offered their own version of adhyasa formation, adhyasa making. They take adhyasa as an event, as a something happening. Adhyasa needs a lot of other ingredients for a product. They try to explain adhyasa as a product. In that explanation, what our Vyakhyanakaras, post-Shankarite, sub-commentators we call them. Vyakhyanakara means commentators on Shankara Bhashya. What they try to do is, they have propounded, they have explained their own version of how adhyasa formation takes place in contrast with other schools. They found fault with other schools. In the formation of adhyasa, they found fault with others, and they started giving their own alternative explanation of how that adhyasa product takes place. Okay. Swamiji says here, Vividha mata vivarane. We are not interested, nadaraha. We are not interested in explaining, going into the details of the way explanation, their explanations. Tad vada vivarane. Nor even disputing with them. We are not interested. Shankaracharya was also openly says, my explanation is commonly agreed to all, and proceeds. It doesn't go into those disputes. So, see, this is a very important thing. When we say something, we bring certain other things. While explaining something, we bring some illustrations, we bring certain other arguments, other schools of philosophy. Their purpose is why Shankara is referring to other schools, their explanation of adhyasa, we should be clear about it. Shankara himself says, my definition, the definition which I have accepted is commonly agreed by all. There is no dispute. This much Shankara says. Now he doesn't go into details of their explanation, and he offers his own alternative explanation that we don't go into unnecessary. And this is where Sachidananda Swamiji's explanation of Sugama is because he just follows Shankara Bhashya. With the help of Shankara's commentary, I mean Prasthanatrayi, Bhashyam in all Prasthanatrayi. Bhashyam in all Prasthanatrayi, wherever Adhyasa is referred, wherever Adhyasa is discussed, elaborated, taking all those points in one place, Sachidananda Swamiji explained Shankara's Adhyasa Bhashya just in the light of Shankara's Bhashyam alone. He didn't go into the, he didn't take help of the Vyakhyanakaras at all. Because Vyakhyanakaras seem to go unnecessarily, just now as I have told, into unnecessary details. Those details are only just speculations and unnecessary and complicate the issue. And sometimes it derails also. Sometimes means in some adhikari, because we find some of the jignasus getting misled also, because they start taking Adhyasa as an event. Adhyasa is something has happened. Adhyasa padartha has happened yet. Then removing becomes very difficult. If Adhyasta superimposed is a padartha, Jnanam cannot do. Because Jnanam can only correct the misunderstanding. Here the misunderstanding is Adhyasa. Adhyasa means a wrong standpoint of looking at it. So he corrects your wrong standpoint, brings your attention to the right standpoint. That's all Jnanam does it. See what Jnanam does it? Jnanam gives, Vedanta, Pramanam or Vichara gives Jnanam. Giving Jnanam means what? Does it illumine Brahman? Does it objectify Brahman? Jnanam means what? Do you come to understand? Do you come to objectify Brahman? Then how else Brahman is revealed? Brahman is revealed in the sense Brahman is self-shining. Even Brahman reveals even the Adhyasa. Even the avidya is known only in the light of Brahman. Therefore, the light of the Brahman need not be, and there is no need to reveal Brahman. Brahman means the very consciousness in which we are even able to discuss and listen and do all those things. It is a self-shining. Just like in the light, in the daylight, the clouds appear. If the clouds seem to be covering the sun, even the cloud is visible within the light of the sun only. Even the cloud is visible that in the light of the sun. Therefore, even the Adhyasa is known only in the light of awareness. Atmas Chaitanyam. Therefore, he says in Gita Bhashya, in certain other places, Shankara says, Anatma Nivrutyau eva prayatnam vidheyam. All that Vedanta does is to correct the Anatma and to reveal Atma. Nothing is required because Atma is self-revealed. Okay. Nahi, in Sutra Bhashya, in 4th Sutra, he says, Nahi Atma, Nahi Shastram, Idam Taya Brahma Pratipadayati. It doesn't reveal Brahman as this. But what does it do? Tat Vedya Veditru Vedanadi Bhedam Apanayati. That's all. Atad Dharma Rupam. What it is mistaken, that Vedya Veditru Vedanadi Pramatru Pramana Prameyam, which is imposed, that it removes it. Adhyasa, it removes it. Now here you say, Adhyasa is not an event that has happened. Adhyasa seems to be there even from Adhyasa standpoint. Okay? Adhyasa seems to be there from the Adhyasa standpoint alone. In really it is not there. That's all we have to say. Therefore, shift the standpoint from the Adhyasa, which is an apparent Adhyasa, come to the right standpoint, you find that Adhyasa is not there already. It is not all. There is no question of removal of avidya. If removal implies that it was there, when it was not there, where is the question of removal? It appears to be there only from the standpoint of avidya. There is a Sureshwara's Vakyam, avidyayam eva asitva avidya iti prakalpyate. Brahmadrishtya avidyayam nakatanchana vidyate. See the Sureshwara's Vakya, Adbhutavagide, it's very beautiful. Avidya, you thought of avidya only from the standpoint of avidya. From the standpoint of Brahman, there is no avidya, there has never been there. Avidya sahakaryena nasidasti bhavishyati. This is the beautiful karika. This is the beautiful shloka of Vartika of Sureshwaracharya. Avidya sahakaryena nasidasti bhavishyati. Neither it was, nor it is, nor it ever will be. Then where is the question of removal? You only shift to the standpoint to the Brahman, then you see that there is no avidya. That's all. Avidya removal means understanding it is not there from the standpoint of Brahman. See, avidya removal, adhyasa removal means what? taking a standpoint, right way of looking at Brahma, where avidya is not there already. That's all. So you have to shift the vision from the adhyasa, from the dehendriya drishti to the atma drishti. That's all. You shift the vision, you find that avidya is not there. That's all. This is called removal of avidya. Not that existing avidya you remove. You understand how avidya is not there from the standpoint of Brahman. That's all. So avidya removal means understanding it's non-existent in a right standpoint. In a right perspective, when you look at it, it's not there already. This is the way of removal. That's why Jnanam only Jnapakam natu Karakam iti Shankaracharya repeatedly says in Prasthanatraya Bhashyam. Swamiji also quotes this statement, Jnanam Jnapakam, Shastram Jnapakam natu Karakam. Jnanam only reveals, natu Karakam means what? It doesn't produce a new experience. Brahmatma is not another experience to arise in you. Karakam means what? It doesn't, you don't become Brahma, you don't come to newly know Brahma. Brahma which you did not know and you come to newly discover. It is not a newly discovery. You already existing Brahman, you are already in that awareness, you only shift to the wrong standpoint and then come to this thing and say that it is not there. That's all. So this is only a Jnapakam, natu Karakam. All that Jnanam does is only this much. Therefore, for this is touching adhyasa. So, if you say adhyasa is a product, it is a formation, and formation needs an explanation, then all this complicates the issue. Then you think that there is something called adhyasa, avidya is sitting there. And now, therefore, some people say that, in fact, this very unfortunate thing, I think I have to discuss later only. They say, later Swamiji elaborately discussed in 4 or 5 pages, how they explain adhyasa, the post-Shankarites, Mula Vidyavadins. Mula Vidyavadin means Bhava Vidyavadin. They make, and they go to extent of telling that, one Swamiji I used to study under him, he would say, Shankara has nothing to do with adhyasa. Vedanta has nothing to do with adhyasa. Jnanam removes only avidya. Adhyasa has nothing to do with. Oh my God, they say adhyasa is not the main point in Vedanta. It is avidya. They talk of some avidya other than adhyasa. Adhyasa is avidya, but they say other than adhyasa, there is some other thing. All Vedanta's concentration is only on that. It is targeting only that, and adhyasa it has nothing to do with. Then Bhashyakara talks of only adhyasa and nothing else. See, Bhashyakara talks of only adhyasa and nothing else. And they say adhyasa is only on the way. On the way, adhyasa is not the main intention of Shankara. Shankara is trying to present some kind of bhava vidya, which is a cause of adhyasa. They go. Now for that cause of adhyasa, you have to present adhyasa. For the cause of, in order to establish the cause of adhyasa, they have to explain adhyasa as some product and some kind of a making. Now the whole explanation of adhyasa is gone out of context, and then they imagining some other thing. All this is going on. Once you explain like that, then how you remove avidya? This becomes another big problem now. Because once you say avidya is some kind of a positive substance, then how do you remove it? Then removal, they say akhanda akara vritti comes, then brahmakara vritti comes, then avidya is removed. You take a standpoint. See, Shankara says there is no removal of avidya. Is nivrittasya nivrittihi. It is not a vidyamanasya nivrittihi. Nivrittasya nivrittihi. Say, they explain that we are going to discuss that. Swamiji says in details later. He says that avidya is anadi, but it is santam. Their avidya, their mula vidya, their bhava vidya, the positive substance avidya is anadi, beginningless, but it has got an end. In these things, they imply there is a real removal. You watch this, note this point. They also talk like that, all that thing, avidya is mithya and all that thing. But again they say it is anadi, but it is santam. What is santam? Are you going to remove or what? Yeah, they are going to remove it. It is a santam. Oh, that is a removal. So jnanam is born, and jnanam by birth, Shankaracharya says, anyway we are going to discuss that. Rise of jnanam alone is removal of avidya. There is no, they say no. rise of jnanam alone is not removal. Rise of jnanam removes avidya. Two things they say. See, one is a rise of jnanam, another is removal of avidya. That means they present as if there is some avidya which needs to be removed. They imply that, because that's what they say. There is something avidya needs to be removed, because avidya is anadi, no doubt, but it is santam. It has to be destroyed. This implication, I had a lot of problem. Years together I suffered. This all confusion. I asked again. They repeated the same thing. I felt frustrated with this explanation, with this prakriya. And later, when I read Swamiji's books, I just dropped all the thing. This is unnecessarily. They are complicating the issue unnecessarily. So anyway, so come to this thing. So simple adhyasa is, you are already in that. You don't have to prove adhyasa. They say we have to explain how adhyasa takes place. Why need you to explain? And who can explain it? Who has seen adhyasa taking place? Has anybody seen? It is all speculation. The person who is speaking is already in adhyasa. And then he only finds himself in adhyasa, that you see that dehendriya manassu has taken yourself. This is what adhyasa is in everybody's experience. You find that you identify with your body, mind and sense organ. This state of identification, this experience, this pratyaya of identification is in everybody's life. Nobody disputes it. And this is adhyasa. Adhyasam puraskritya sarve life, whole vyavahara. And what is in our anubhava, leaving it out, and you go to explain something else, your attention goes away from adhyasa. They always turn your attention, divert your attention from adhyasa and put on to something, and something you imagine, something is there, and that's something. There is one interesting thing. One Prabuddhananda, you know. If you don't know, I'll tell you, I studied Vedanta under him. He is an aged man. He lives in Hyderabad, Delhi, even now. He studied from Swami Dayananda, and later he changed to Sachidananda Swamiji Prakriya. Later he teaches this, and Swami Dayananda knows, and he told him also. So he was the senior most first disciple. Before Swami Dayananda was teaching, even in Sandipani, Chinmaya Ashram, even before that when he was in Rishikesh, that time he was a student from Prabuddhananda, was a student of Shivananda Ashram. Earlier his name was, shall I tell you, Yajna Chaitanya. His name was, before we knew him, he was Yajna Chaitanya. And then he was that earliest student, first student. So he was a staunch student of Swamiji. Swamiji andre, he loves him, reveres him, Swami Dayananda. So anyway, so he used to say, when he studied after this prakriya, he became very clear, and then only this thing. And he would say, this adhyasa is so clear, it is directly anubhava siddham, and you imagine something else. In this thing, what happens? Attention is unnecessarily diverted to something else. The cause of avidya, cause of adhyasa. And then adhyasa trying to remove it. Where is it? Unnecessary. It is unnecessary. Therefore, this is unnecessarily complicating it. Complicating it. Therefore, adhyasa, which is there in anubhava, directly see it. And then being in adhyasa, you are looking at the who is what. Why imagine something else? Supposing, even if you imagine, who is going to remove that? How do you know that there is such a thing? They give only by explanation. Go on giving explanation alone. Okay, so Phalgu Prayojanatvat. This Vadinam, how adhyasa took place as an event, as a product that is happening, this is, Shankara was not interested, because it is useless also. Santu tesham avantara vivadaha parashyatam. Let there be hundreds of their explanations, their comments and explanations, let them have. We are not interested. Atasmin tat kalpanam adhyasa ityatra tu nakopi vado vipratipadyate. Therefore, there is no dispute that one thing appears different from what it is. This much is commonly accepted by all and no dispute. Okay. अतः सर्वतंत्र अविरुद्धोयम अस्मत् सिद्धांतः इत्यभिप्रायः. This is what Shankara means. His explanation is commonly agreed to all. Nahi spatike laihutya sankrantim bruvana vadi. First, we have given 3 explanations. Okay, three adhyasa explanations. Coming to that first explanation, just a small comment Swamiji makes about that first explanation. Nahi spatike lauhitya sankrantim bruvana vadi vastavikameva spatika lauhityayor dharma dharmi bhavam manyate. Even that first explanation, first philosopher, the flower, the red color of the hibiscus appearing in the spatika, even there you see, they say the color of the flower gets transferred to the spatika, that is adhyasa. Okay, let us accept what he says. That the color of the flower gets transferred to the spatika crystal. But even in that, Swamiji says, even in that, the color really doesn't come to spatika. The color remains with flower, spatika remains transparent, color never gets transferred, color remains with flower only. The transfer also is not real. This is Swamiji's explanation. They have given their own explanation. What they say, the color of the flower gets transferred or gets reflected in the crystal. That is their explanation. Now, reviewing their explanation, Swamiji says, Bruvana Vadi Vastamikaveva Spatika Lauhityayor Dharma Dharma Bhagam Manyate. They also don't accept that the quality of the flower really comes to belong to crystal. Dharma Dharmi Bhava. Crystal is a dharmi and red color is a dharma. Dharma Dharmi Bhava. Guna Guni Bhava. That means a guna belongs to crystal. He also doesn't accept. Isn't it? Napi is the second one. Though he says the quality really gets transferred. And the second explanation, Rajata Shukti. Napi Shukti Rajata Pratibhasam Svikurvana. The second scholar, second philosopher, Vastavikameva Shukte Rajata Rupatam Manyate. It doesn't mean that he also doesn't accept that the silver really comes and sits upon the seashell. The silver, his explanation was the silver is only a memory, remembered knowledge, and the seashell was a perceived knowledge, and silver was a remembered knowledge. These two knowledges, when they come together, that memory aspect is lost. Lost means you forget them. You forget that it is a memory. So that memory aspect is lost, and the two knowledges get mixed up, come closer and get mixed up. You think that there is only one knowledge. The one unitary knowledge, when the difference between two knowledges, the dividing line gets erased in your mind somehow. They say how it happens. They start explanation that, but how does that get erased? They say it gets erased. They get mixed up. They give explanation. Why? See, once you start explaining the very formation of adhyasa, see, this is again difficult. Can anybody explain how adhyasa takes place? They try to give logical explanation, the formation of adhyasa, the process of adhyasa. They try to explain. They after listening to their explanation, you come up to a point. You again put one more question. Again they say anyway it is adhyasa. We can't explain. They give up hope again. See, they try to explain the process, but even if you try to explain, nobody can convince that explanation. Two things happen. One is, regarding the same point, there are multiple explanations. You don't know which one has the really happened. Which one was the real process according to which adhyasa as an event happened. If you say adhyasa as an event that has happened, there are so various explanations. We would not know which one was the process really this adhyasa followed. If you mistake rope for snake, the snake, really snake, you ask the snake alone, which process out of these various processes explained by these different schools of philosophy, which process you have followed, oh snake? You tell us which process you followed. Does the snake know that it should follow this particular, which philosopher it will make real? Does the snake say that I have followed this philosopher's explanation to appear to you as a snake? So you don't know which explanation has really happened here. Each one explains differently. So you would not know. And it is disputable such that nobody agrees others' explanation. It goes on endlessly. It remains disagreed. The disagreement remains a disagreement alone. Okay, disagreement may be, philosophers may disagree, they may dispute, they may not agree. But ultimately tell us, how did this adhyasa happen? They say, I offer you my explanation. But how are you sure that this is the only process was followed in the adhyasa? Because you have offered your own explanation and another fellow gives another explanation. This is one problem. Second problem is, you explain up to certain extent. And after that again you put a question. They say anyway it is adhyasa. Now they give up hope. They say, they raise their hands at anyway it is adhyasa, give up. Now you see, this memory, silver is a memory, remembered knowledge, and rope is a seashell is a perceived knowledge. Seashell is a perceived knowledge, silver is a remembered knowledge. These two knowledges come together. When they come together, you remember them as a two. They say that it is a remembered one is lost somehow. Why? How? Why it is lost? How it is lost? They say that is how it happens in adhyasa, they say. But why that is lost? Why memory alone is lost? Why knowledge is not lost? They say that it is a remembered one, remembered alone is lost, and they come together, they get mixed up. The dividing line is lost. Why the dividing line? Your explanation comes to up to certain point. Even after that, again you also fail to explain. Then why start giving an explanation which is speculative only? Which nobody is sure that this is the only process adopted in this adhyasa. How do you know that this is the only process adopted in adhyasa? See, how do you know that this is the only process adopted? It's a very strange thing. Therefore, all these are speculations alone. Shankara says there is adhyasa in your life. This is the only thing we can be sure of. There is adhyasa in your life. Therefore, nahi drishte anupapannam nama. Adhyaso naisargikaha sarvaloka pratyakshaha. See, Shankara's explanation. It is naisargika. Instinctively, it is there in everybody, swabhavika, naturally. And sarvaloka pratyakshaha, everybody is experiencing. And nobody can deny it. Only three statements Shankara makes in his Adhyasa Bhashya or in his all other Prasthanatrayi Bhashya. It is instinctively there, and it is a matter of everybody's experience, and nobody can deny. That's all. These are the only three statements. Strength of Sachidananda Swamiji is only these three. Swamiji sticks to Shankara's explanations alone. It doesn't say nothing more, nothing less. It doesn't go away from Shankara. And luckily, Shankara also directly touches your anubhava, and he leaves out all unnecessary speculations and disputes. See, just now I told you two things. If you want to really give the explanation for the process of adhyasa, for the really happening or occurring of adhyasa, if you start giving, I tell you, if we start giving here, we are students and we are together, each one of us will come with one explanation. Here itself there will be 10 or 20 explanations. Why depend upon our traditional Sanskrit scholars, acharyas, purvacharyas? Even you may give another explanation. He may give another explanation. I may give another explanation. Each one is giving his own explanation. We may start giving another 10 more. Scientists, you ask them, they will give their own explanation. Nobody knows which exactly is the process in that adhyasa happening. Okay. Second thing is, even that explanation doesn't satisfy anybody. Up to certain point you explain, you again put a question, they say, this is how it is, anyway it is adhyasa, leave it, they will say. They say, for example, this Mula Vidyavadis, adhyasa, they try to explain this process, that process, this process, they will put ultimately, then there is a Mula Vidya. You have to assume that there must be Mula Vidya. Without that, adhyasa cannot take place. You see, their Brahmastra, their ultimate argument is, if there were no Mula Vidya, adhyasa would not have taken place. But adhyasa we find it, therefore there must be Mula Vidya. See, there must be a material cause because It must be there because we find adhyasa here. See, adhyasa here, of course, everybody's life. Nobody can deny that. Taking this adhyasa as a basis, they speculate that it must be there, therefore we have proven presence of Mula Vidya. Because so much adhyasa is there, then how can there be adhyasa with... See, their argument is always like, how can there be adhyasa without Mula Vidya? How can there be adhyasa without Mula Vidya? Because adhyasa is there, that means Mula Vidya is there. See, they say, they take it for granted and argue. Adhyasa is there because it is everybody's life. Then how do you say? How do you say there is Mula Vidya? They say, if Mula Vidya were not there, adhyasa would not have taken place. But adhyasa is found in your life, therefore Mula Vidya is proven. If they ask, if avidya, Mula Vidya is the cause of it, what is the cause of Mula Vidya? They say, oh, you should stop with that. Don't imagine further. If you imagine further cause of it, then cause of Mula Vidya, then cause of another that second Mula Vidya, then third Mula Vidya, then fourth Avidya. If you keep on going, it will be infinity regression. It will be a logical defect. Therefore, we'll stop with one Avidya only. Even if you try to explain logically, you cannot explain. Ultimately, they say, come on, let us stop with it. Hey, if you have to stop it, then stop with Adhyasa alone. Why go to the Mula Vidya even? If you say that explanation goes wrong, and at one point you have to stop with that, then stop with Adhyasa alone, which is in everybody's life, which nobody can dispute. No, they will say only one time let us speculate. Let us speculate only one step, then no more speculation. And we say, why even that one speculation? Why not we directly say Adhyasa is enough? They say, let us speculate one step, that there is a material cause for Adhyasa. And then if you start speculating it, somebody asks, why not say another karana for it? Then look for the karana of Mula Vidya. What is the cause of Mula Vidya? They say, no, don't speculate further. Why? You can speculate and we should not speculate. If you start speculating, everybody will start speculating more and more. If you say Mula Vidya is the cause, somebody says there is a second Mula Vidya. Mula's Mula Vidya, Mula Vidya, somebody will say. And then you may say that why Mula Vidya? I will say third Mula Vidya. Mulasya api Vidya, Avidya. Then each one says my Mula Vidya is a real Mula Vidya. Because I have told third Mula Vidya. 3 tier, 4 tier, 5 tiers Mula Vidya. Once you start explaining, you can go to any extent. Isn't it? Anyway, so here he says, now that the seashell and a memory, why that memory should be lost? They say this is Adhyasa, that's how it happened. Once you say that this is how the memory is lost and that silver knowledge of the silver knowledge, that it is a remembered knowledge, from that remembered aspect will go away, is lost, only knowledge will remain, and they get mixed up. This is the explanation is given. Then the question comes, why that remembered aspect is lost? Because it is Adhyasa. Again, you depend on Adhyasa alone to give your explanation. See? Then why speculate that explanation which nobody can verify, nobody knows? It is all your mind's imagination. Why the memory is lost? He says, this is how Adhyasa is, that's all. Then why not accept Adhyasa alone, stop speculating it? That it is an Adhyasa, that's all. You find yourself. That's why Shankara doesn't speculate. I find Shankara is such a great, that's why I always told, he never speculates unnecessary things. Whatever is in your Anubhava directly touches and directly points out the truth. That's how the Shankara wins. Shankara wins by directly talking what is in your Anubhava. Never goes one step unnecessarily speculating anything. Where he does it, he openly tells, I am only speculating. Where supposing some place where rarely in small point he needs to speculate, Shankara says, we are only speculating it. And after speculating it, at the later time, he says, hey, don't take it too seriously. I am only speculated it. If you want, you can leave it also. He says, you can leave it also. He himself offers that option. Because I am speculating. That means it is just a speculation. You may take it. Therefore, he says, Natyantam abhiniveshtavyaha asmin vishaye. In one place, he says, it is only an explanation for somebody. It is given a speculated explanation. Natyantam abhiniveshtavyam asmin vishaye. don't be too much, don't insist, don't expect too much of logical explanation in it. We are only speculating it. If you want, you can drop it also. So this is the very clarity of Shankara. These people don't say that no, we have only speculated Mula Vidya. If you want, you can drop it also. It is only a logically imagined one. It is only a imagined one. They don't say no, it must be there. It is there. You must accept it. If you don't accept, you are not a Vedantin. They go to this unnecessary agraha. It should not be there. Even if you speculate Mula Vidya, you have to just say I am speculating it. So those who want can accept it. Those who don't want can drop it. At least the problem will be solved. Why unnecessarily quarreling over this? Isn't it? In fact, Vivaranakara, that is a Prakashatma Yati, who wrote commentary on Panchapadika, on his name alone it is a Vivarana Sampradaya is well known, on his name. He says it is a Kalpitam. Mula Vidya is a Kalpitam. We are only imagining as a cause of Adhyasa. I think the next scholar, whoever he was, what is that? What is his name? Sutra Bhashya explanation has given Prakatartha Vivaranam, Anubhuti Swarupacharya. After Vivaranakara came Anubhuti Swarupacharya, or even so anyway, these acharyas should have thought over it, and they should have told anyway it is a speculation unnecessary, and somebody should have skipped it. It didn't skip it. Then they retained it. Now it has become, if you reject it, then you are untraditional. You are going against tradition. When he told speculation, Vivaranakara himself, we should have dropped that alone. Then the Adhyasa alone would have taken it. Otherwise, it looks that Shankaracharya talks of only Adhyasa in his Adhyasa Bhashya. Now they are struggling hard to explain Adhyasa Bhashya. Through Adhyasa Bhashya, they are trying to explain something else which is not stated anywhere in the Adhyasa Bhashya. They are totally the whole aim of Adhyasa Bhashya is Mula Vidya. According to their explanation. But whole aim of Shankaracharya was only Adhyasa. That means they are going step one further beyond Adhyasa and trying to explain something else. This is where you can see total discrepancy. It is creating unnecessary complication. Okay, now they say in this remembered aspect of silver and the real perceived knowledge of seashell, they come together. Why they should come together, I don't understand. See, you are seeing a seashell. Seeing the seashell, you are reminded of your earlier memory, remembered knowledge of silver. Because of the similarity, you remember it. So you remember only that much. Why Adhyasa should take place? Just because you remember, just because similarity, why Adhyasa should take place? They say somehow, that means you have to come to somehow again. Then the somehow means you are not able to explain. You are not able to speculate. Somehow the remembered aspect goes away and they come together. You take them as a one unitary knowledge. Again, there also you are leaving some points unexplained. Then why go to the speculation? Take directly what is there in your anubhava. Therefore, Svikurvano Vastavikameva Shukte Rajata Rupatam Manyate. Even they also don't say the silver which he has seen before has really come and sit upon the seashell. They also don't accept that silver has really come and sit upon it. Yajyapi kechit satyati vadino duragrahavishtaha shuktikaiva rajatakarena adhyasakale parinamate iti vadanti. Swamiji, without naming, he is referring to Mula Vidya Vadins. Even referring their concept alone, they feel offended. In fact, there should be a healthy open discussion. We may agree, disagree. Even if you accept Mula Vidya, I have nothing against you. I have no quarrel with you. See, because it is just we are still telling you how Adhyasa is straight and clear. If you want to go round and round, go. We are not against you. Go round and round, explain Mula Vidya and all that. We are not telling against anything against you. So we say it is so clear and direct. It's a very easy step and easy to understand. Problem gets solved very easily. But if you want to still go round and round, go. But let us not hate and create a problem and boycott Sachidananda Swamiji and do all those things. That is their own thing. What can we do? In fact, my proposal I have been presenting. Our Sachidananda Swamiji followers are not telling, but I have been telling this thing. There is Panchapadika, one tradition. Bhamati is another tradition. These two, tradition means these two explanations, two commentaries based upon same Shankara Bhashyam. When there are two traditions, regarding each point there are two explanations, two versions. Now the modern day, Vedanta has come to have two explanations on each point. Now you talk to the modern Vedantin, modern Vedantin means modern day Advaitins. When the Shankara statement comes in one explanation, they start giving two explanations. According to Bhamati this way, according to Vivarana this way. For each thing they start giving two explanations and Vedanta goes on. They give you two explanations regarding each point. Why two? Did Shankara mean two meanings? Shankara should have one thing in his mind. Why always give two? That means they are not able to, they are two contradictory explanations they are giving, they are not able to reconcile because they cannot be reconciled. Bhamatikara is totally opposite to Vivarana, Vivarana is opposite to Bhamati, and you have to accept two as a two. Neither you can reconcile them, nor you can accept one and reject another. This is how the situation has come. Anyway, when you are accepting two as a Shankara's tradition, then at least when in the tradition, two explanations are simultaneously studied side by side going on, then I am proposing, why not accept a third explanation as Sachidananda Swamiji? When you have Vivarana Sampradaya, Bhamati Sampradaya, why not we have Sachidanandendra Sampradaya, another third one? Why oppose and boycott it? Because Swamiji's explanation is purely based upon Bhashya. For every explanation he shows you Bhashya statement and he shows you Anubhava, he gives you logic also. And for many people, those who have sincerely, openly studied Swamiji's books, and I found that his explanation cannot be disputed. You cannot deny it. You may say that it is different from Panchapadika, different from Bhamati. You may say it looks different, but nobody is able to refute it. You see, you talk to these people, they are not able to refute it. They are only silently keeping aside, that's all. They are silently keeping aside and continuing, but they are not able to directly say it is wrong. They are not able to say directly. Then when you are not able to refute it, then you find that his explanation is also acceptable. Then why not we add that third one? Study Panchapadika, study Bhamati, and also study Sachidananda Swamiji. Three explanations give them. And whoever likes whichever one, let him follow personally in his life. But in traditional study, as for the study, let us study all the three together. And whoever likes whichever one, follow. In fact, Siddhanta Lesha Sangraha is a compilation of various views on different points of Advaita. Within the Advaita, on various points, there are different views on various points among the Advaitins alone. That Appaya Dikshita compiles them, all of them in one place. It doesn't mean that all the Advaitins accept all those explanations. Somebody takes Vivarana and somebody doesn't like Bhamati. Somebody takes Bhamati, but in teaching they teach both. But you ask them, you try to ask them. See, when there was a Pandita Sabha in our in somewhere in Bangalore, one Madras Pandita came, and I don't want to take his name. He was a nice man, and then he says, this is the explanation. According to Bhamati is this. According to Vivarana is this. He was giving two explanations. I told, why you are giving two? If you look at the Bhashya statement directly, what is your understanding of Bhashya directly? I asked him. What is your explanation? You see, I asked him in the Pandita Sabhayam Eva. It was going on in Sanskrit. In front of everybody, I asked him. See, you are giving two explanations on that Shankara's idea. I say, what is your explanation? You know how he understood it? He says, though I am a follower of Bhamati generally, but in this point I follow Vivarana. I told, I have not asked him to choose one of these two. I asked each one is explaining their own, but when you look at Bhashya statement directly, what do you feel? That means they are not looking at the Bhashya statement directly. They think there are only two explanations. One is Vivarana, another is Bhamati. So you only have one choice. Either choose one of them, one of the two, or accept both as parallelly. That's all. They give only two choices for you. You choose one of them, one of the two, or accept two simultaneously, contradictory, parallelly. They are contradicting each other, but parallelly explain. Parallelly take both. and don't directly think over Bhashya statement and directly try to understand Bhashyakara's view. They say, never try that. Sachidananda Swamiji tried, they told, boycotted him. No, we can't accept. So this is what Swamiji told, you follow Vivarana if you want. You follow Bhamati if you want. When I am giving directly from the Bhashya statement, I am showing Bhashyakara's another statement from elsewhere in Prasthanatrayi. And then this seems to be more convincing. First, why don't you listen? Why don't you read? And once you accept, continue in the tradition. And if you want to, you may follow. But include it in your traditional Adhyayana. This is what I have been telling it. As a third explanation of Bhashya, include this Sachidanandendra Swamiji's. As a third explanation. Now, whoever you like, you may follow. In your personal sadhana, you follow whichever you like. But include in the tradition. Why opposite? Okay, I think this much we can follow. We are not asking you to give up your Vivarana and Bhamati explanation. You can have your own. But this also, let it continue. Let it come into the traditional study. Because Swamiji has got a very beautiful explanation. For every statement of him, there is a Bhashya's support. Then there is a Bhashya's support. I feel this is the right way of doing it. Okay. Now let us continue. Shuktikaiva Rajatakarena Adhyasakale. Third explanation. Third explanation is of Mula Vidya Vadins. This is post Shankarites Mula Vidya Vadins. Okay. No, I am not able to see because this I think after updating this has changed. I don't know, I am not able to see. What to do? Okay, let us continue. How many minutes passed? I am not able to understand. It may crash. Anyway, I may continue for 2-3 minutes and then close it. Because the whole thing has changed this time. Okay. They say, see, this is Mula Vidya. Yadyapi Kechit is Swamiji is calling somebody without naming never. But I am giving you for your clarity. It is from the Mula Vidya Vadins, like that is Vyakyanakaras, Vivarana, Panchapadika, Bhamati. All these people put together. They say, Yadyapi Kechit Satkhyati Vadino Duragrahavishtaha Shuktikaiva Rajitakarena Adhyasakale Parinamate. They say, during Adhyasa, no. Parinamate. No, it is not Mula Vidya. It is somebody else. Okay, it is somebody else. That the seashell, during its appearance, it transforms into silver. The rope, I take an example of her. Rope, during the appearance of snake, rope itself transforms into snake during the appearance of snake, they say. Yadyapi kechit Satkyativadino Duragrahavishtaha. Duragraha means they insist, adamantly insisting their own explanation. Shuktikaiva Rajatakarena Adhyasakale Parinamate. Adhyasakale, during Adhyasa, it transforms into snake during that Adhyasa. Later, once rope is understood, it goes away. But that time, it transforms. In a way, Mula Vidya Vadins also they say. But what they say is, the rope doesn't transform. It is the Mula Vidya that transforms into snake. During the process of snake, they say it is Anirvachaniya snake utpatti. Anirvachaniya sarpotpatti. What you say? Inexplicable snake is born during the Adhyasa, they say. Adhyasa means that Mula Vidya transforms into the Adhyasta Prapancha. So Adhyasta is a Padartha. I think all this will come later. Why discuss now? So they explain that way. Something transforms, Vivarta it becomes. Vivarta and Parinama Yaradu ide, that we will explain later. Anyecha Rajatamso. As some people say, this is Ramanujacharya's explanation. Swamiji without naming, just referring to them. They say Rajatamsho Atyalpiyan Shuktikayam Vidyamana Hayeva Bhrantikale Pratibhasate. What they say is, in the seashell, there is a small degree of silver in it. How they say, in every object, everything is present in small degree. Very, very small, minute particle. In every object, everything is present, they say. In every object, Every other object of the world is present in a small degree, very minute degree. Then during the adhyasa, during the mistake, that small minute particle becomes very prominent, and then the main vastu gets covered up. That prominent, this is called adhyasa. This is their explanation. As I told you, different people have given different explanations, and none of them are really convincing. Because these are all their own explanation of why adhyasa takes place, why a Brahma takes place. First thing is they have missed it. Brahma itself is Brahma. It cannot have explanation, I tell you. There is no, that's why Shankara says Brahma is a Brahma. It cannot have explanation. All explanations remain explanations alone. None of them is true because they are all speculations. Brahma is the only Brahma. That's why Surashara says, nature of Brahma, what is the real explanation? That it is a Brahma is the only explanation. That it is a Brahma is a Brahma. That's all. That is the only explanation possible, which is acceptable to all. Any other explanation is deferred, disputed by all others. You can have, we are not against it. You may give, Ramanujas may give their own, others may give their own explanation, but it is not acceptable to all. People are differing. This is what we mean to say. So, Rajatamsho Alpiyan, Shuktikayam, is say in the Rajata, in the seashell, there is a small minute degree of silver present in it, and during the misunderstanding, that small minute one becomes prominent, and you start seeing that silver alone is present there. It covers the real seashell. This is their explanation, Ramanuja followers' explanation. Bhranti kale pratibhasatit tathapite rajata pratibhasa vyatiritam rajata sattam sadhayitum naiva parayanti. Yet, in spite of this explanation, these various explanations, still they do not show why that rajata satta. In spite of this explanation, that silver is present, nobody is able to explain. Tathapi se rajata pratibhasa vyatiritam rajata sattam. They say that silver is only while in Bhranti. While in Bhranti alone you are seeing it. Outside Bhranti, no rajata, no silver. During Bhranti, during mistake alone, during misunderstanding alone, you see the silver. The silver doesn't exist outside mistake. Independent of the mistake, you can't see them. Therefore, Rajatakara Parinati Rajata Pratisvasova Bhrantikale Shakya Darshana Itite Abhyupagachanti. I think time is up. My thing will crash. Now it will go endlessly. A little more explanation is there. We'll tell you in the next class and conclude it and go to the next topic. Okay? Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Tat Sat.